Oh, there you go. Yeah, I bet she's gonna do it. That was a different meeting ID, 785. I wonder if that's me.
I bet it is. But, and then I didn't get any further. I answered the phone, I'm sorry.
No,
I thought, gosh, I brought it up, I got the number, and then we're good to go.
I didn't even recognize that said password. I just thought that was some garbage good there below that. I just saw a meeting ID.
I just got the meeting in. Okay.
Hello. I'm the only person in the meeting. You can do it. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I just figured this could do a regular Zoom as well, but you've got it set up as a DL room now. Uh, yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's my bad. I should have thought about it. Yeah, exactly. Sounds great, thanks.
Well, and then she goes, well,
Hey, Audrey. Let me turn the volume up here somehow. Hang on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me fine?
I can. They're not here yet, so
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm glad Nathan was here to help us. I didn't realize we couldn't connect with that room. And anyway, we got it
Well, you may not have even known I was going to use a room. I just thought it would be better if we could spread out in here, and in my office it would be hard for them to see you or whatever. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I called Nathan when I realized I couldn't enter that long password.
Yeah.
Oh. The history 211 that we've got set up, y'all got history 210 on here. The 210 and the 211 are both fill the gen ed requirements. I mean, you may have just only gotten permission to do the 210, but the 211 that we're doing, I think, is the more recent art history. We could probably get that approved real easily if we wanted to, but I don't have to make that available.
Let me see.
I figured the geography we could, but it may not be any sense in fighting that battle right now. 'Cause I don't know we're gonna get a huge number of students doing odd classes at this point.
What history is that?
It's art history. You've got 211 set up and we've got 210. Oh, here they come now. So,
Okay.
no, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Your word. Okay.
Come on in, Brian. Absolutely. He's running down the hall for a second.
Okay. I'm gonna print this off real quick and go grab it off the printer.
Yeah, I've got your list of classes that you got online. I was gonna offer, we could offer some of those up as well. And the ones here.
Yeah, let me go grab it off the printer real quick. Maybe.
Is your title coordinator or director of dual credit? What's your title?
Coordinator.
Coordinator of dual credit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I introduce you correctly when he comes in. So.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm glad you got the position.
Oh, well, I am too.
Well,
I'm
you may
ready to
not be
get
with all this mess going on.
I know, I'm ready to get somebody else in here though.
Get some help.
Yes. I've recruited help, but I need more.
I understand. I understand. Well, if there's things we can do from a distance, we'll be glad to help as well. Some days we're not extremely busy, so just holler at us and we'll do whatever we can.
Yeah, and we might kind of see where this goes, and we might need some additional help from, if the students are near.
Mhm. Hey, Brian, come on in.
You doing all right?
Doing great.
We'll go grab
Grab a chair.
Alan Ricky is gonna have to be on phone with us.
Okay, that's fine. If he wants to Zoom in, we can give him the ID, or he can just be on the phone. That'd be whatever you
We'll just
want
get
to
him
do.
on the phone.
Okay.
I don't think I'm not sure that he's where he can Zoom. Or maybe, I don't know. I guess you can Zoom anywhere.
I can't anymore. Audrey, he said Ricky's going to have to join us on speakerphone, so he won't be in here with us. So this
Okay.
is Dr. Brian Jackson. He's the assistant director of schools. This is Audrey. She's our new coordinator for dual credit.
Okay, hi Audrey.
Hello, it is nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you met Ricky?
I have not met Ricky.
Ricky worked as assistant principal at Adamsville for a long time. He's
Okay.
taught there for forever, but has been assistant principal there for quite a while.
At the high school, middle school?
High school.
High school. Okay.
And he has taken over our virtual program.
Okay.
He's really.
He didn't know what he was biting into right now, did he?
No, he didn't. We actually piloted last year and not realizing what we were on the cusp of.
Yeah, at least you got a little bit of a head start last year with a few things.
I think that's helped us. I think, or maybe it scared us.
Hello?
Mr. Kaufman,
Hello?
hello? Can you hear me?
I got you, Dr. J. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I've got you on the speakerphone, and I'm here at the campus with Alan Youngerman, and we have on
Audrey Waterfield.
Audrey Waterfield is on Zoom with us. So
Okay.
we've got quite a meeting here.
All right.
All kinds of technology going on.
I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. I apologize.
No, that's great. The reason I'd asked about a meeting is we've had 3 students call in the last week asking about dual credit classes that they were signing up for the virtual program. And so I had called, most of them were from Adamsville, so I had called Steve Killingsworth, and he was telling me last week y'all were in the middle of or maybe it was Friday a week ago, that y'all were in the middle of a big change with your virtual programs. He wasn't sure what you were doing at the time, how it would work with dual, and to give him some time. So Monday a week ago, I think y'all had made some changes, and he said he thought that the dual programs could work now, and I just wanted to sit down and make sure that we're going to be doing what's right for the school system, for the students, and that everything would flow smoothly. I didn't want to get in the middle of something that put a fly in the ointment, I guess.
Right, I understand. I appreciate you reaching out and trying to satisfy the needs of those students. I think what Steve's referring to, I don't know how much Dr. Jackson has filled you in. We try to make a push within our schools to try to handle a lot of our virtual requests through the actual school instead of them going into our virtual platform that we started last year. We really aren't built for 1,000 students. And I think that's probably why he was thinking that if we could get those people to do that, it may work itself out. But looking at our numbers over the last 4 or 5 days for the interest form that we have out there, it's not slowing down. We're growing about 50 a day. So
Wow. Would we be able to, if someone signs up for that virtual program, say they wanted to take their college algebra here with one of our instructors, would they be able to not take their college algebra on the virtual and use this dual credit class to satisfy that on your virtual program?
My answer to that is yes. Dr. Jackson may correct me on it, but I mean we can offer that credit. The way I interpret the law for their requirements that they would have to do if through the virtual school. Like I say, we weren't built for all this, and that's kind of out punting our coverage a little bit. So it's a little scary for me, the proposition to start that, not knowing exactly the procedures and systems, knowing they're not in place for us to make sure we don't let something slip through the crack.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure, and I don't anticipate that we're going to have a huge number of students. You know, if we have 10 students come in, 10 is a number that we could handle on a case-by-case basis, I think, and say, okay, I could get with the guidance counselors and say, this one's taking biology and a math, and this one's taking an English and a history, and we might could handle 10 on a case-by-case. If we had 150 coming in, it might be a little different scenario.
You're right. The only other thing that frightens me with that is if they're trying to get their high school diploma through those courses, if they're not successful, and I don't know how many of them might end up failing a course that they're taking with you. That's kind of double jeopardy for them.
Well, I guess it would be if they were taking a dual credit class at the high school too. If they failed the class at the high school level, they would have to repeat that class as well, wouldn't they?
Well, I mean, at the high school level, we have some flexibility to stick them other places when we identify that that's going on. I don't know. Now, I guess that would be, I guess we could do that the same way with virtual. It's just a new way of thinking. I'm not saying it won't work. It's just it's a new way for to be customer service driven for these kids. Okay.
And I don't want to set them up for failure. Hopefully, with the GPA requirements to take a dual credit class, it's not going out to everybody that's a virtual student. They would have to have a 3.0 or higher, as a junior or senior.
Absolutely. I think there's some safeguards in there. I'm just talking worst case scenario.
Yeah. And we have to do midterm grade reporting. And Audrey, have you had to do grade reporting more often than that with any of the dual credit students?
So we still do the midterm grade reporting, and students can always drop if they feel that they need to. They just have to drop before the last day to drop with a W. And so students are required to pay a $50 drop fee, but they could do that and always go into another classroom if they feel that they won't be successful in that class.
Did you hear what she said?
Yeah, she was kind of echoing a little bit, but I think I've got the gist of what she was saying.
Yeah, so there's a drop period, I believe it's about 3 weeks or so in. I don't know what the drop date is in front of me. Do you see it, Audrey?
October the 9th.
October the 9th, so it's a little more than that. So if they're not being successful in the class, it's a $50 withdrawal fee, but they could withdraw from the class and just get a W for withdrawal and it not show a grade against them. So they may still have to do that class in the spring or something, but they would not get a failing grade at that point.
Right. Yeah, we could easily switch them over to something with that much time that they could hopefully get a high school credit for.
That pretty closely aligns with the end of what we have right now is the end of our first quarter.
Okay.
So you could get them in the second quarter class or something, or, I think that could work. And if it's a student that's financially not able to pay that, I think I've got some funds I could take care of a $50 drop fee. I don't think we're gonna be talking about much, but, you know, most of these students probably, if they're, to save them from getting an F, I think the $50 drop fee would not be that big of a deal.
Right, absolutely.
And I will say that most of the students that sign up for dual enrollment are pretty committed. We run into this a little bit, but I wouldn't say we run into it often. I know that's certainly a concern, and that's a great thing to bring up, but we don't run into that often. Most of the time they do have an understanding that, you know, they do have to keep up with their grade. So, you know, I completely understand the concern, but I just wanted to bring that up, that we don't run into it we don't run into it often.
You know, we've got quite a few classes that they could take, but if I was advising a student, I would not probably put them into the calculus one, even if they had the pre-calculus, just to, you know, not put them in that type of jeopardy, especially with the danger that some of our classes may go virtual as well. If the numbers keep rising, I would not want to have someone in a calculus class online as a high school student. So, you know, we can try to steer them toward classes that will help them with their college career, but might not necessarily put them in that kind of jeopardy as well.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
I think, Dr. Jack, I don't know about the messaging, if we want to, I don't know what our next step would be as far as the district decision on if we're going to advertise that relationship that has been offered.
Yeah, and what worries me, Mr. Kaufman, is the timeline here. I know that with the university, that their timeline is coming up, as far as enrollment and having to have students placed, and our timeline can change every day, it looks like. So that kind of has me concerned a little bit in thinking about, trying to reconnect students and then trying to get our virtual program going, and how's that going to work how's the timelines going to work together?
Exactly, because as you know, we have lots of work left to do with the virtual build out.
Yeah, I'd heard your virtuals right now, you were thinking the 24th, is that correct? August?
Yes.
Our classes start the 17th. Usually we have a drop add for about a week there that students can drop and add into our classes. So the timeline's not going to be too far off there, but, I just wanted to.
We could be ready to put those students that would be taking dual enrollment in those classes before the 24th. We just wanted we wanted our virtual date to be a little bit after our start date to try to encourage our students to do our Reconnect program.
I agree. I just was wondering, I hate for someone that's doing a virtual program to lose the opportunity of doing some dual credit classes because they chose virtual instead of the Reconnect or the face-to-face classrooms. And that's why I was just wondering if the students that chose to go virtual, if there could be an email sent out, or if we could do a Facebook post or put something in the paper to say there's an option that you might not lose that dual credit opportunity that we could offer some dual credit classes to help with those students.
Yes, we have several things that are going to be sent for approval for messaging for newspapers and social media for a couple of things this week. And that could be, clearly a discussion with maybe Dr. Jackson and Greg to decide if we want to step out there with the virtual messaging as well right now.
And, if it's gonna get confusing in your messaging, we could pay for an ad to go in the paper just to say, if you're looking at virtual classes, come see UT Martin and we would be glad to put an ad out to that effect. We run it by you to make sure we're wording things, that,
How does it play out with you guys if, I guess there's a difference if somebody chooses K-12 over McNair County virtual platform, you guys would still be able to work with them?
Absolutely. We had we've had dual students all along, even though Adamsville uses Bethel for most of theirs and McNair Central uses Jackson State. We have students that come here and use their dual credit money. We had 2 in the spring from Adamsville. And Dr. Van Hoos here used to teach UT Martin dual biology over at Adamsville High School. I know you remember that, but that was for UT Martin and not for Bethel. So we have students every semester working through the regular system that come here, and they would be welcome as well. We just have to work out the release time with the guidance counselors if they're doing face-to-face to make sure their schedule fits correctly.
Right. Well, to be fully transparent, I guess why I ask the question is if it's just you guys putting out if you're looking for a virtual option, it may make our people go a different direction factor than if we put the message out.
Okay.
I think the students and families in McNair County are trying to decide, do I want to go with K-12, do I want to go with New Beginnings, do I want to do virtual for McNair County? They have all these choices to make, and I feel like you guys are probably going to work with whatever choice they make.
Absolutely.
But we would kind of like to keep them on our rolls for a while.
I'm not trying to scalp your students in that, but I did have the same thought. I've got a junior in high school in McNair Central, and if you were going completely virtual this fall and there were no face-to-face classes, I was going to explore the opportunity for him to take 4 dual credit classes here instead, because I really think he needed, some contact with other students, and to be honest, the end of the semester last fall, no fault of any teacher or student, whatever, that last 6-7 weeks was not very productive. I don't think he learned much. I think the Spanish teacher did a good job. They had Zoom meetings and he gave them assignments, but some of his other instructors, it was pretty much done 6 weeks early.
I understand completely what you're saying.
So, but I'm fully supporting him going back, and he's looking at doing the dual credit classes at Jackson State with McNair Central. I'm not trying to pull him here this fall. If he's going to be face-to-face at McNair Central, he'll be doing their dual classes. And, if I was going to try to scalp a student, I'd scalp my own son.
I wasn't saying that was your intent.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the messaging. Does it work better for everyone involved? We put it out, or
Yeah, exactly. And I'm fine either way, however you want to go.
If our virtual program partners with UTM and we put that messaging out, I'm fine with that. It's a little scary thinking about all the moving parts to it, but I think we can work our way through it.
Okay.
Mr. Kaufman, I'm not trying to complicate things, and maybe I am. I don't know with this thought, but we're talking about juniors and seniors.
Yes.
And we're talking about a select group of juniors and seniors because they have to meet the criteria to be involved in dual enrollment. And so out of the 1,000 people that have interest in virtual, how many of them are we talking about that fit into this special niche?
Well, I mean, our current numbers now would be low. I do feel like if we do go forward with this messaging, we're going to have a lot more of our top end students that will say, okay, then I'm just going to go virtual and do this through UTM. I do think I do think we'll get more than we realize once we advertise. I don't know if that would change the thinking on your son. It will probably change the thinking on my son. You know, he will probably go virtual and go to UTM.
Okay, you have a high school son
Yes.
as well. Right now, it would not change the thinking on mine. He wants to be in the classroom with his friends, and I'm fine with his decision. He's mature enough to make that choice, so, and I'm fine with him taking those Jackson State classes, so. He has said next year when he's a senior, he would like to negotiate release time to come out here and take some classes his senior year, because he's pretty much going to be done with all of his major required classes.
Exactly.
At McNary Central, so. So I don't know that a lot of people that I've talked to want their students in class face-to-face, if at all possible, and I know there are some out there that are scared. I don't think that we're going to draw, 150 new students away from the two high schools to come out here. I was guessing that you'll probably have maybe 100 to 150 virtual high school students out of both schools, and I figure if we got 10 students coming out here, that would be I think that would be a success for us.
Yeah, I would say right now we probably have 100 seniors and 100 juniors
So
between
about
the two
200,
schools
okay.
that have filled out the form. All of those would not be dual enrollment candidates right now, but right now the high school has a lot of both of the high schools have a lot of students that have shown interest in the virtual.
Okay.
And I guess what I'm saying is I think if you're sitting there, especially as a senior, and there's not going to be any Friday night football, there's not going to be any prom, or snowball, or if those things are not able to happen, then they can look at our virtual platform and go ahead, do dual enrollment with you, and kind of move on to the next phase. If some of those key things, you mentioned your son wanted to be with his friends. If a lot of those opportunities to have those experiences are in jeopardy, I think we'll see the number rise.
And it might. It's not just going to the football games. He just likes seeing his friends in the hallway and just that social aspect of school, which I understand as well. I know you're concerned about the numbers rising in the virtual school because it's a tougher platform. Are you going to run it like last year's virtual, or are the high school teachers going to be teaching those virtual classes this year?
If the numbers continue to rise, I see no other. I mean, I'm not the director, but I see really no other way to do it than to assign some of our county teachers to teach classes through our virtual program.
Yeah, that's what I thought direction it might be headed. So,
but it may start, similar to the way it was last year going into it, as we figure out what's going to happen.
Okay.
Will students have to decide by a certain date if they're going virtual or fully face-to-face?
They're supposed to already.
No, we haven't set a deadline for making a decision. We've left it open because we anticipate that as our numbers go up and with COVID, there's gonna be people that will decide later on that they don't wanna be in school and they wanna go virtual.
Okay. I just work
I-
with several schools, and I know some schools are offering different things, and some of them are making them decide, and some of them aren't. So I didn't know
Right.
kind of where y'all were headed.
I am encouraged by the fact that other countries that have gone back to school have not seen huge rises in cases with students and teachers. So I'm hoping that that will be the case here as well. And at UT Martin in the main campus, I hope it's the same. So, you know, we have been reached out by these three families, and I want to be able to help them. It sounds like we can. You know, the question now is, will we be able to advertise this to other families or not? And you know, I don't want to put additional pressure on you, but I want students here as well. So, but I will abide by whatever y'all think is best on that. But I do want to make that opportunity available for those virtual students that do come in, or that could come in. So, do you want to talk to Mr. Martin and see what y'all come up with, or on that decision?
Well, we can. I would just say that we don't want to hinder our students in their abilities, especially at this time, what's going on. We want to try to keep as many avenues open as we can for them to pursue what they think is best. And I know you've got a time that we have to, they're going to have to decide if they're going to be a part of your program or not. And I don't want to open a floodgate, but at the same time, I want to be sure that people are knowledgeable, have the information they need to make the decision that they want to make. Does that make sense, Mr. Kaufman?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I think it's wonderful you're going to help those three families, and I think if that's, I think if we're going to offer to three, we probably need to, try to advertise it that, our virtual platform is going to partner with UTM. That would be my suggestion. If you want to talk to Greg, see what he says, we'll go from there.
I've got a list of classes that can be offered online that Audrey sent me, and I can make a copy of this for you. And there's some classes here at the center that we can offer dual sections as well. So, it's quite an array of classes. I know it's more than what's being offered by Bethel or Jackson State, but, on an individual basis, these families could call us and we could help direct them toward the classes that would meet the needs of direction their students are thinking about for going to college. Sometimes, classes, I hate to say any class is wasted because you learn something in every class you take, but sometimes you take a dual credit class and it doesn't apply toward the degree you're seeking when you get to college. So, like I say, no college class is wasted, but if we can make sure they're headed in the path that would best suit them for their college interest, of course, their college interest usually changes 2 or 3 times by the time they get finished, but we'll try to help them with those decisions as well.
Have you guys, what's the plan if we have, let's say we have 20 students that go virtual and take a dual enrollment course, either online or through the center there, and at Christmas they say, hey, everything's better, we want to go back to school. Well, I guess at Christmas your classes will be over with.
Classes are over.
In November.
They'll be back into the high schools in the spring and just your regular high school students again.
What if it occurs before the end of the semester? Will they be, Dr. Jackson, you think there'll be a problem for Central or Adamsville to let those kids kind of early release to go to the center or take those classes?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We'll just have to, I think we'd have to schedule around that, but,
all of our professors actually have to have the ability to switch their classes to virtual at any time. And if a student says they're scared to come in, or they get sick and are homebound for a time, they have to continue delivering that class to them in a virtual method. So our professors say everything got better, and October 20th, they wanted to go back to their regular classrooms on what they could meet their needs. We could work with our professors to say, okay, these are going to, you deliver the rest of the class to them virtually. If they can't get release time, of course, I would rather them get release time and be face-to-face with their professors. But there's a lot of options of online classes where it wouldn't affect them anyway. There's probably 3 times as many online options as we have here at the center that they could take, and there would be no hiccup there.
Okay.
I have one quick question. So a part of our process is counselor approval. And so will the counselors at the high school still be taking over the virtual part, I guess, of that process in students' applications?
my understanding, is Molly gonna fill that capacity, Mr. Carlton?
I do think Molly has experience and could. I think she has suggested that she could work in that area.
Molly Cheshire. Oh, yeah.
We haven't talked specifically about. She's working with a lot of with our folks in Nashville a lot this week.
Oh, okay.
Well, one thing that when they're looking at their virtual classes, they have to have some suggestions from a guidance counselor of some sort. They can't just take whatever classes they want. So we could get, whether it's Molly or whether it's Amber or Jana, I think with the number we're going to be dealing with, it's not going to be huge. We could handle that to make sure they're taking classes that are going to fit both those needs. And get that approval for you, Audrey, to, we might need to get Molly Cheshire signed up as a McNairy County counselor in your system to approve that.
Would she do McNairy and Adamsville?
If she's doing the virtual, I think she would be doing both, the way it sounds.
Okay. Yeah, and y'all could let me know that once y'all talk with her or whatever, but I just wanted to check on that, as we will need to know before students start submitting applications.
One question that one of the parents had that was going to be a deciding factor, apparently her daughter is a 4.0 student and 28 ACT. She's worried about her high school placement as far as, some colleges look at that when they're looking at enrollment to look at the placement in high school, where they top 10 or whatever. If someone chooses to go virtual for a semester and then comes back, is it going to knock them out of being placed in the rankings of their high school?
Last year, they did get removed from class rank if they joined the virtual platform. I don't see how we can do that this year, but that requires a lot of input from both high schools and other things. I'm not 100% sure where that stands right now. It has been discussed.
Okay, that was just a major concern from this mother and daughter.
Yeah, major concern for the virtual school as well.
Yeah. Because if they come back to regular school, they just had a semester at virtual, and I can understand if they're finishing the rest of their high school career virtual, for 2 years, that makes a difference in it, but these are odd times we're dealing with. Okay.
Preach it to the choir a little bit with that.
I understand. Okay, well, Audrey, do you have any other questions at this
Well,
point?
we'll just kind of wait to hear back from you all, and then we'll kind of go from there. And I can definitely get all the information that students might need and different things like that. But we'll just wait and kind of hear if we're for sure go.
Okay, well, that'll work. Well, I'll be in touch with Dr. Jackson and Ricky, and then we'll let you know as soon as some decisions are made on our end.
Yes, and we would love the partnership.
Was that Ricky?
I appreciate you guys' willingness to help us out through this time, and hopefully Dr. Jazz Senior gets hold of Greg and see what we're going to do with it.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, that sounds great. Well, guys, I appreciate you calling in, Ricky, and we'll be in touch with you soon.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too.
One thing before we get off, doesn't revolve around this semester, but just bringing Dr. Jackson up to speed. I had offered to Steve Killingsworth and Dr. Pyron both that I know they're using Jackson State and Bethel right now, but we've got some money that's coming in the form of allotment from the state now that we're using for scholarships. And in the event that you ever did choose to come back to UT Martin for your dual credit opportunities, I'm offering, you get 4 free classes through the dual credit grant and our scholarshiping, and they get 4 classes that they're borrowing against their first year of Hope Lottery. Well, I would be willing to use money out of this state allotment to pay for an additional class that wouldn't go against their lottery, so they could get 5 free classes without borrowing against their lottery. So that saved them probably $1,200 or so of their lottery money for that first year. If that comes up and y'all are thinking about it, I know you're set for this year, but that offer's out there again for next year as well. If we can help with the dual programs, I would be willing. Assuming we continue to get that state money, and we did, even with the budget crunch this year, we got it again. So I would be willing to help the students with an additional free class if that would help.
Okay.
So $1,200 is $1,200.
That's pretty nice, yeah.
Makes a difference. So just let us know if we can help on these, but in the future, and Audrey heard me say that, so that could help her as well. So
Yes.
if we can help with an additional class in the future, then we'll be glad to do that.
Well, good, thank you.
All right, well, Audrey, appreciate you and all you're doing. Audrey's brand new to the dual credit, so she came in the middle of this craziness, so I'm sure it's going to be fun, but I know you'll take care of it.
Yeah. It's an adventure, but everybody's in the same boat, so we'll
That's
just get
right.
through it all together.
That's right. Well, thanks, Audrey. I appreciate you joining us.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you too.
On the white sheet are some of the ones that I had looked at from our center that we could offer, and on here and online, there's some duplicate between the two that are on both. And you can have those sheets to take with you.
Okay.
And I did find out, the reason I put the Math 100 on there, we could do the Math 140 here as well. They've got an online option, but I'm a little worried. My son did fine with Curry in Math 140, but some students don't. You had Curry for math. Some students don't excel in his math. They need to be a really strong student to do Math 140. And we could add that in if we need to for someone But if they're not worried about using 2 of their lockers, they could take the 100 in the fall, which satisfies the high school requirement for their college, for their algebra. They could do the 110 in the spring, and those 2 together equal the math 140. If they're not as strong in math, don't have as high of a math ACT score, I would kind of recommend them breaking it up. But, and Miss Brenda Tedford does a wonderful job with that class. But if they're a strong student, we can put them in Curry's class and they'll be fine. But I don't know, he's been teaching college algebra there at the high school too, so I know you're using him for the class, but I just want to make sure they're a good, strong student before we put them in.
Sure. I would agree. Okay. Well, let me talk to Greg
Okay.
and see what his thinking is, and then we'll get back to you on that.
There's a DeBerry gentleman that called about his daughter. I think she's a senior in Evansville, and there was a Durbin lady that called about hers, and I can't call the third one's name right now.
Miss Durbin has emailed me a couple of times about her child. She teaches down at Dickey, and her and her husband both graduated to Adamsville.
Oh,
And, matter of fact, she was one of my students when I was teaching.
oh, really?
Jamie.
She was the one who was asking about the class placement. Apparently her daughter is doing well in high school. That was one of her daughter's concerns.
Yeah, I know they're really struggling with besides something.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people are.
They are. I was, like I said, was struggling too, but I was glad to hear that I had the face-to-face option, because that really Reed wanted that.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it, even with his medical history. He's fine now, and I don't think there's any problems with his immune system, so I think he'll be fine to be back in the classroom. So, when I started getting, the phone started ringing, I don't want to mess any of them up. That's why I was asking Steve, with this virtual, will it count for their high school classes, and how would that work? 'Cause I don't want to say, yeah, come here, because they could just come here on their own and use their dual credit money. But they're gonna have to retake it when they get back into the classroom again, because they're not gonna take it back, or the virtual program wouldn't take it and transfer it back in. I don't want to hurt a student that way either, so.
Right. And I don't see, I think we'd have to take their credit back into that high school. I think they ought to do that. And I think, it's my opinion that it still goes into their GPA. We're getting some pushback from the high schools about that, but I don't think they have a choice. I think that's the way it has to be set up.
The TSAC had gotten with Erica at the main campus. She was in some meetings with some people at the state, and when all these schools across the state started talking about their virtual programs and not meeting back face to face, even TSAC was recommending that, dual credit programs step in to try to help with some of that as well. I knew y'all were using Jackson State and Bethel, so I really hadn't said anything until the phone started ringing here and getting requests on it, so.
And really, we haven't separated county students out into a real virtual school. They've been in a virtual academy, and that's our plan. So they're really still part of their high school, or they're still part of our system, even if they're K through 8, they're still with that school where they wouldn't have been attending.
Mm-hmm.
The virtual side of it would really only apply if we're dealing with somebody out of district.
That's a scary thought is when school systems start moving more and more to virtual platforms, would Chattanooga be scalping students from McNairy County and putting them into theirs and count them as a Chattanooga student for the funding?
Exactly. Yeah. And,
Either we develop a top-notch program so no one wants to leave, or it could be an issue.
that's right, that's right. We almost have to be like what Paul said, all things to all people. And that's hard to do.
And the COVID has driven us a direction faster, but this direction has been coming.
Yeah, it needed to happen.
And it's coming at the university level too. You know, the online programs are growing in leaps and bounds, and the on-campus programs are shrinking somewhat. And some of the main campus professors are, you know, throwing a fit over that, but you have to follow the market.
There you go.
And, you know, if you're in business instead of education, you know that, you know, the market drives decisions. You know, you may want it to be in a classroom in front of you with 30 students sitting there, but that may not be the reality in the future. I hate that because I enjoyed an on-campus experience and, you know, you get some, you know, I guess, develop relationships that last your whole life when you do that. Where online, you don't develop those relationships as much, but you may develop other relationships that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
That's right.
Interesting world we're seeing the beginnings of.
Yeah. And you know, another dynamic we have to deal with, public education is under such an attack right now. There's so many options and programs out here that people can go and when you do that, I know it's not all about the money, but doggone, we have to have money to operate.
Exactly.
And we've got to do what we can to keep our students. So as much as we can meet the needs of Jamie Durbin, we got to do that.
That's true. Because you know she's just the vocal minority out there. There's another group of people that are thinking along the same line
Sure.
she is.
Sure.
You know, and I was thinking along that line until you made that decision. You know, I was almost to the point until I heard for sure y'all were going back face to face, calling and saying, hey, what are my options of putting Reed in classes here? So it's going to go through people's minds.
And how long we can hold down, I don't know. I noticed that number has made a big jump again. I don't know whether it was Saturday or yesterday or what, but it was almost 20 people that went up. And,
I really feel like it's going to, in the next month, start coming back down. You're going to get, I hate to use the word herd immunity like people are using, but you're going to get once you get over 50% of the population that has been exposed, and a good percentage were non-symptomatic, and you know, that number is going to start coming back down at some point. Because it has in Italy, it has in other countries where they had huge numbers, and once they pass that 50% mark, you know, it has regressed back to a really manageable situation, and I think it will here. You know, people keep saying, oh, we need to quarantine again. Well, that's just going to kick it down the road again, because once you come out of quarantine, it's going to come back up again. You're not, at this point, you're not going to get rid of it. When the first cases hit the West Coast, if everybody quarantined right then, maybe you could have crushed it, but.
and I think, my opinion, I don't know, and I was read some of that, but I think it was already here before we realized it.
It was. I truly think I had it back in, like late January, mid-February. I had a cough, a nuisance cough. It was the weirdest cough, tickle in my chest when I breathed, and I couldn't get rid of it for a month. And I keep thinking back, did I have it back then? And, you know, I've heard other people, you know, Amy, lady I've been seeing for the last several years, her dad's 97, and he and her mom both got sick for a long period in there, and, you know, same type issues, and, you know, you wonder if more people have had it than you realize. You know, I've never gone for the antibody test or whatever, and I may be out of my system by now, you never know, but, I think the numbers will start dropping back soon. When I realized it was affecting the adult elderly population, that's who should have quarantined, and the nursing home should have quarantined, and really locked things down there, and then let the rest of the population go and get over it. I think we'd be farther along by now. That's just me as a non-medical person thinking. You're talking about funding and education changes. I look at the state senate race with Templeton and Page Wally. I thought we had two great candidates until I got the slam piece from Wally about the education union supporting Templeton and just slamming Templeton that they backed him. I'm like, that is a low blow.
Yeah, it made me wonder who's pushing that and what agendas.
Why is that such a negative that somebody in education is backing Jay Templeton? You know, it wasn't by his campaign, but it wasn't denounced by it either. We just read the fine print though. You know, why is education getting such a black eye right now?
Yeah, both times that would have been the endorsement to have been sought.
Yeah, to get you elected. So, and now I'm wondering, I hope Jay wins, hands down now. And I'm for him because he's from the county, but, you know, this is all for record. I'm not supposed to talk politics in my job, but anyway, that just really surprised me that,
I don't know. I thought early on Jay might have but I don't know that. This fellow has got apparently quite a hold.
yeah, the Fayette County area, that's where the population base is.
So I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it won't be long. We'll know the answer to that.
That's true. Coming up soon. Telling Bryce and Kristen they were coming in, going on a vacation, of course, to Florida. I'm like, why are you going to Florida with her parents? You know, all this is just exploding in Florida. But I said, you can go in early vote on Saturday, is your last chance, because he hadn't been back in the last couple of weeks. So. Time to vote.
How's it changed? Sunday school, how's your dad doing?
He's doing well. He got exposed a couple of weeks ago. He went to a funeral and cousin of his, he was 90, her husband, who was 94, had passed away. He was in a nursing home, and darned if she didn't catch it while she was probably at the funeral. So that was 14 days ago, and Dad was a little worried yesterday. I was looking for a paint scraper he had. He said, well, I'll just lay it out on the stoop. I said, well, it's been 2 weeks. I think you're okay now, Dad. You don't have to distance yourself. He said, well, I'm gonna give it a few more days. I said, that's fine. I'll come get it off your stoop. But, you know, he's still good. He works in the shop, builds some furniture and cutting blocks, and still goes to the farm and bush hogs. He just still going strong. How's your dad
Doing pretty good. He stays busy.
His medical situation came out.
Everything's been good so far. Yeah. He had that prostate cancer, and so far all the results have been good with that. So that's wonderful.
Yours is all.
So far, so good. I go about 2 weeks for my next checkup. It'll be 3 years now. So it's been
Time flies, huh?
Yeah.
It's taking like that long.
Yeah.
I still go for checkups. You know, mine from 1988. You know, once a year, just go for a checkup. It's not
Well,
bad
that's
to have
good.
one.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, They put Reed St. Jude Department off until November with all this COVID and stuff. He goes once a year for a checkup still there. Hopefully, he's fine now. It's been so many years, but it's still good to have that reassurance and that good blood work number come back. Is there anything else we can help y'all with?
Adam, I don't know of anything. I know, just between us, I don't, when we had a meeting out here about the roundup money, it's been a while back. But the lady from the water department made a comment that she didn't know that whether the money was being used properly in the school district or something. I said something bad about that. It infuriated him. He said, I want to come to the next meeting. I said, well, you're welcome. Come. And we got some money the other day from the water department. He said something then. He said, I want you to set up a meeting. And I don't know that the meeting really involves you. I think the meeting is more, he needs to talk city of Selma, I think.
John, and she got a bird under her saddle. Her child was going to, it wasn't Jackson State or Martin or TCAT, it was maybe Memphis. And she wanted to use the roundup money for her child going to Memphis. And I said, that's not my decision. I think I called you and I called John Smith and the people that are on the committee. And John said, well, no, it's in the bylaws that it goes for these three things, and then half of it goes to the county for education. And she kind of got her nose broken. I think that's probably, she's just spouting off a little then. I think it's probably calmed down now. But, I said, my son's going to Memphis, and I'm not trying to use it for him either. And so.
Well, I think that maybe where that comes from.
I think it probably is, but it would be good advertising for the city and the education of the county both to say that, this roundup money we raised from this small amount that you round your thing up, we raised this amount of money that helped this number of students with college and TCAT, and it helped, with this amount of money toward equipment for the technology and school systems. And, that would be a good piece for both the papers to put in there, just to say, hey, this is, I don't know if y'all can pull those numbers together. I mean, it would be easy for us to pull the scholarship side together and see what's given out each year, but the number of students that it's helped.
Right. Yeah, I think that's important to do, because I'll tell you what's happened. We have Gene Abear has this foundation that we started 20-something years ago.
Yeah, he came to Rotary and got a contribution the other day.
And what happened on the front end when we first started, we have a lot of teachers doing payroll deduction, maybe $2, $3, $5 a month, which went directly into the endowment side of it. And as time passed, of course, he came and awarded the grants every year, but we never did push that continued payroll deduction with our newer people. And so over time, attrition has taken a toll on those.
And
And the new people haven't come on board. And we all did a poor job of reminding people, hey, here's how this happened, here's how this works. And the same thing could happen with our roundup.
It does happen. I mean, we're holding our own with the money coming in, but we get students every semester that come in, we ask, are you doing the roundup? And the parents are like, no, we've never done that. Well, start doing it, because in 3 months, they can start getting this roundup scholarship benefit. And, my kids aren't doing it, but I've always done the roundup. But you know, unless somebody's educating them, and I don't know if they try to push it when someone signs up for a new water bill or not, but, you know, that's a good question to ask John, and I'm drawing a blank on the lady's name.
Is she a deep?
Maybe,
I don't know. This lady comes out here.
I'm drawing a blank. I'll pull it up in a few minutes and figure it out myself. You know, it's time to have a meeting. I don't know about having a face-to-face meeting, or if we just want to have a phone meeting, get all the parties together or not, but,
Well, whatever your call is, be fine.
because we set the, I think it was the first week of August, we set the deadline to get those in, and after all of them are in, we need to have a meeting to try to award those as well. So. Get her done. So what did Ricky teach at?
Ricky was a history teacher.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, Steve both of them.
So, I found.
I probably met him up there before, but Steve was the assistant principal that I, you know, was working with when she was teaching here, and then, and he's the principal, so I don't even know the new assistant principal.
Rebecca Walker is an assistant, and Ricky had they had been both.
Both them assistants. I've probably seen him, I just. Important job he's taken on.
Yeah, that'd be the biggest school in the district, but we keep.
Yeah, it's been a while since either of the high schools have had 1,000 students. I think McNary Central, when we were there, had a little over 1,000, but I don't know when the last time that is.
Build that multi-million-dollar monstrosity out there, and we'll have students to put in it.
You got another one at the elementary school. And Sam was talking about room placement. He said Robin ended up in a smaller room than she had before, with no sink and no this or that. And it's a tiny room. It's one of the bunker rooms to when things get closed out. He said she was better off in her old room than she is in this brand new school.
Yeah.
So,
You want to have plenty of space out there.
yeah, I think probably just trying to get everybody grouped in the same area, probably put her in the audience.
Well,
She wasn't complaining, and Sam said, don't pass that on, so don't say anything to the elementary about it. But, he was helping her move her room the other day. He was telling me.
I got into that when we moved from the courthouse to the Pickwick building. Pickwick, I thought, that'd be nice. Well, no, if, of course, Glenn and I were together in the courthouse, and we stayed together out here, but we actually moved into a smaller room than we had at the courthouse. But that's what it is.
It's true. It doesn't matter. We were needing to make some space for this used to be the faculty office here, and then when we started using it for a tech room, we had to split an office, and I was gonna split mine, and I don't care how big it was I have. And Kathy was like, no, you can't split yours, you split mine. So we split hers, hers is about the same size as mine. I don't care, you know, it's just a place to sit down and talk to somebody. People, I guess, take prestige in the size of their office or whatnot. Usually if you're getting stuff done, you're not sitting in your office anyway.
That's right. And I'll get this to Ricky.
Okay.
And then I'll get, this is mine.
Yes, that's yours.
And then I'll get with Greg, and then we'll get back together.
Some of the choices on there, if someone thinking they might want to be a psychology major, we'll put them in Psych 101 or something just to test that career field out, you know, ahead of time. that could help them decide, or if they're thinking, I didn't put the social work 220 on there. I think that diversity and oppressed populations probably doesn't need to be handled until they're 18.
Yeah.
Because they talk about some topics that parents might go a little on, but
Right.
in the spring, if we have to do this again, the social work 200 would definitely be appropriate for them if they're thinking about a social work degree, or if they're thinking about the sciences, we get them in biology or geoscience, or criminal justice, we can get them in the intro, or, different degrees. Because that way they might get a taste of it, see if they really like that career before they go to college, take the full year out of it.
That's good. And we are gonna do the criminal justice at, Mayberry Central
Okay.
this fall, because I ordered $5,000 worth of books.
Oh my goodness, wow.
And we got a teacher, I think, so.
We could have, I guess we could have done that. Robert Lee didn't require a textbook for his students. You may not want them exposed, Robert.
That would be an interesting class to take.
He makes it interesting. The students come out of there and just beg to take another one from him when he does that. He has to tell real life stories.
Yeah. And he's got a way of telling them. He told me, I always told you that. He said he shot that guy out there. Justice Center. He said, there's a question about something. I would have, whatever. I told him, what we done. He said, he watched the video. He said, what happened? He said, I shot him. And he told him.
Anyone that's threatened, you got the right to shoot them. You gotta get a little back. And Robert over here said, he was right out. That's what he tells me. Sometimes eyewitnesses, not just witnesses. Thank you, son, this.
Alright, so I'm gonna reprint this.
Well, good to see you.
Good to see you, and just give me a holler as soon as I talk.
Yes, sir.
We'll get control.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. Okay. I'm just waiting on that one. I was trying to get a hold of Annie and ask my teller part for proper use because you can't have jewelry, you can't have earrings, you can't have piercings, you can't have, you gotta get it for your hair out of your face. I don't get any all that, and then she walked into it again. So finally, we get old, and about 9:30 last night, in text messages, but in emails, the kind of freaky, somebody says, hey, you got a jewelry, it's like, hey man, this is the doctor's. I did print the song, that's substantial. Well, we have 3 students of our own. Mary, Durban, Dale. crazy not to do dual enrollment. It's free, right? There's 3 classes. Yeah, 3 or 4. Are you proctoring any geosciences for this summer? Okay. So it's just that one. Okay. No. Because I got the email from Greece with past ones. You just sent it Saturday night? Yeah. But as long as I got it, then that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna, once she gets testing at, hopefully they take her at when time? 12:30. I don't have to stay, so I'm gonna aim for lunch at 1. Yeah, we're not actually her proctors. Nobody's gonna say that. It is. It's called The World of Zelda. Amber is pretty quick. Yeah, I call my daughter Crystal and everything is freaking out until they find Amber after Crystal Carrington. That was okay. That character in the TV show is okay, but Mineral Crystal is not. Great, that was a huge mistake. My family loved it, I loved it, Brian loved it. People couldn't pronounce it. Zelda. I only know Zelda as video character, video games. Oh, I don't either. I don't either. But that's what you mean. Why would you name your kid after you? It's okay. Would you name your kid Harry Potter? I am gonna get the street set up. Testing. Oh no, please make sure before you go. Don't let Alan leave.
Mm-hmm.